Hi, good morning. It is early again, but it's not as early as it has been. That's so profound because time only goes forward. It's never as early as it has been. Oh, woke up weird. This is exactly related to my reflection on it's January 8th, so I'm reflecting on day 7 of ACIM, A Course in Miracles. By the way, I left my book upstairs, and I have to make the most use of time today. Oh God, this post is all about time. You'll see, I'll get there. And so I'm like, I don't want to go all the way up those 14, 15 steps to get my book, to remember all the details about the lesson that I wanted to repeat so that I could do the reflection. And so I just Googled, because I have a picture of, I took a picture of the page yesterday because I knew I'd be busy and on the run and between clients and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I'll take a picture so I can look back at the picture instead of hauling that book around with me, because it's a big book. And I'm having googly stomach again. Oogly, not googly. Oogie. I think a hot flash is going to start. Oh, you guys, you keep witnessing the worst of the worst. Anyway, breathe through it. Here it comes. I'm getting hot. And so I took a picture. So I'm like, I have this picture on my phone. Let me just plug it in and I'll pull it up on my screen so I can read it while I'm doing the reflection video. Couldn't get that to work. Couldn't get picture in picture on my phone to work for that app. So I'm like, I could have just been back here and doing this video on the time I was trying to make technology work for me. So anyway, this is all about time. And lesson 7, I'm sure there are a lot of lessons in there in itself, but lesson 7, it says, I see only the past. Simple as that. I see only the past. I need a drink. I'm getting so hot. Got some ice water here. Oh man, it feels good. Cool me off. I know I could take this off, but hot flashes. I mean, if you know, you know. By the time I take this off, it'll start to subside and then it'll get cold again. So I just have to ride the wave. And then I'm always like, I'm glad I didn't take my hoodie off. I'd be cold right now. So I see only the past. And it says this is like, take every lesson prior. Did you hear that? And it's all balled up in this lesson, so I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I'm sure I could if I tried, but it's like, that's the reason why nothing means anything. I see only the past. It's why I'm not upset for the reason I think I am, because I see only the past. Remember how we said, what's right in front of me in this exact second, I'm not upset yet. When I have time to get upset, it's because I'm seeing something that I see only the past. Like my old triggers have reemerged, and that's why I'm upset. I'm re-triggered by that. This current thing is bringing up all this past trapped emotion. So anyway, it's I see only the past, and it says oh God, I almost lost my little cap to my thumb drive. I need to keep that. I'm over there transferring stuff to take to Costa Rica. So I have to test my little thumb drive on my iPad so I don't have to take a big old laptop, even though it's a little laptop. And I took it last time, 2 times I was down there, or maybe last 1 time. The first time when I went to school. But I'm trying to be compact this time. I'm like, I could take an iPad as a keyboard. It's not related, unless it is. We'll find out. So anyway, it actually has an example of a cup. Like in this cup, you do this exercise with everything you see around you. So for example, in this cup, I see only the past. And you might think, well, what are they talking about? But before I pick it up and I'm just looking at it, it's like, by looking at that cup, I'm like, I know maybe how heavy it feels in my hands, the texture of it. Ooh, I love the texture of that mug. It's like buttery. Oh, hi. How you doing? By looking at this cat, I see only the past. I know how good it's gonna feel to cuddle him. He's gonna be so soft. And then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go on top of his little head, and he's gonna purr. And sometimes he makes these little noises like he's a little baby kitty again, and I'm his mama. That's all from the past, isn't it? Like, what if he was a brand new cat? And I'm like, oh, he looks kind of snarky. Is he going to bite me? Is he going to scratch me? Is he going to whiz all over me? I love him. So anyway, like, I see only the past when I look at you, Jelly Bean. I'm sorry, but I do. I try to see you with fresh eyes every day. That's why I don't get upset that he kind of has some feral behaviors inside a tame house. But in this mug, like, I know if I drop it, it might break. Like, it's probably gonna get damaged, you know. And how would I know that? Like, how would we know that? It's of the past. Like, if I look at it with fresh eyes, I'll be like, oh, whoa, what are you? Oh my God, you feel so good. You're so pleasing. Oh, you feel heavier than an actual mug. Because Matt gifted me, this is an ember mug, and it keeps your liquids at the temperature you put on your app. I know, he's a gadget guy, he's fancy. I just like regular old mugs until he got me this baby. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have to rush through a cup of coffee. I can, like, it charges up on a charger overnight. And then I can be like, oh, I can take my time with you, sweet, sweet coffee. Oh. And then this Christmas, he gifted me a lid because the battery does go kind of fast. And so I'm like, it gets me through like 1 cup of coffee, but what if I want two? God, I'm spoiled. Thank you, honey. He's asleep right now. And so he got me a lid, and he's like, the lids are way cheaper than an upgraded mug. And you know what? It's doing a perfect job. It gets me through 2 cups of coffee. But what I really need to do is not drink any coffee and go back to tea, because I'm off the deep end right now of caffeine, just goodness. I've cut out everything in my life. Let me have coffee. It's not doing damage yet, but I do feel better when I don't have caffeine. But it's hard to get off caffeine, isn't it? It's like 3 days of pure agony in my head. It doesn't affect everyone like that, apparently. I thought it did, and people are like, what are you talking about? I can quit it like that. I do all the time. And I'm like, must be nice to be you. My body needs it. So anyway, that's all about the past too, isn't it? I know my past reaction to caffeine, and that keeps me a little apprehensive about just going for it. I'm like, I got to think about the timing. I better have like almost a week of where I don't need to be top of my game mentally, endurance-wise, all of it. Oh, look at this little baby. See, I knew he was going to do that. He's all about the past. My experience of you is all about the past. You're purring. See, I knew you were gonna. He's a little vibrating bundle of joy. So, I mean, it just keeps you in that like fresh perspective beginner's mindset. Like whenever I look around this room, I don't understand anything. Like, it doesn't inherently have any meaning except for what I put there. Oh, it's hitting hard. It's starting to hit hard. Like because I only see the past. Like when I look at stuff, oh my God, you have to see that. Remember, I've talked about this shelf right there. It's full of boxes from all these babies of my kind of the problem I've developed about having a lot of tarot and oracle decks. It's not a problem. It's only a problem if you make it one. And maybe it's a problem because in it I see only the past version of me that can kind of go to extremes. Oh, I just got chills. That resonated like a mofo. So it's only a problem because that's what I see in it. If there is a problem I see, it's my tendency to go to extremes. And the reason I've gone to extremes is like that. It's kind of like an aspect of hypervigilance of like, I have to assess the best and worst case scenarios so that I can triangulate a situation like super fast and know that I am safe and know what all my possible exits are, and that goes way back to my trauma, my childhood. And like, it's like a reminder. It's a problem because it's a reminder of my past and the dysfunctions that my past has led to my other past, Wow. And that's why I'm not upset for the reason I think I am. Like, if I got upset at myself, now I'm come to a place of acceptance with the way I go to extremes today is like, I'm only going to go there if I know I've transcended the trauma aspect and it's going to bring me joy and passion and fun and like all the good parts. Is that spiritual bypassing? That wanting to stay in the good part. I don't know. I don't think it's quite related, but like wanting to bask in the good is that spiritual bypassing piece that we've reflected on. So I have to like, remember how I said I'm always like checking myself, like, but I don't want to take away the good for the sake of like, just in case. No. So far, there's only good. So anyway, when I see those, it's hard to point when I'm not like on that side of the camera. There you are. Those boxes. I think, oh my God, that brings me such joy because I remember unboxing every one of those sweet, sweet little babies as soon as I got them in the mail. And I was like, you're going to be such a profound part of this stage of my life. I love you. And then I knew that it was going to feel good to feel them, to shuffle them, to like reflect on it, like be confronted with, oh man, you're beautiful. Oh man, you're beautiful. Oh man, that means so much to me. Like, you are so profound. The words somebody came up with to describe this feeling, and then like, boom, it landed right here. And wow, I mean, talk about all, like, when I look at those, I see only the past, and I see all the good stuff in the past. And what I would have seen, like I told you about, like, there is that like little twinge of like, when I look at those, I'm like, man, I sure went to the extreme on that one, didn't I? Real fast too, like within a couple weeks. More like a couple months, really. If I'm honest with myself, it was probably like trickle, 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 flood, over the course of a couple months. So luckily I had some gift cards. So yeah, I see only the past when I look around and I reflect on things. And if there's an upsetting thing, it's because I see only the past upset of that thing still reminds me of. And I think I just thought of this, I have to say, in case it resonates with somebody who's watching this, because I don't feel that a lot nowadays, but maybe some people do. It's like when you see a person, when another person, just the mere sight of them kind of gives you some feeling, like, it's like it's reminding you of the past. And I think for me, usually it's like they're reminding me of something about myself that I don't want to reflect on or remember or be confronted with. It's still active in today, in my today self, like my current state. Like, oh, I'm not ready to reflect on that yet. Or like they have a trait that I still exhibit in the world that I've been trying to work through or I'm not ready to look at yet. Yeah, that's that whole trigger, that whole mirror aspect of humanity. And people, like I said in the past, like when I talk to people about that mirroring aspect and it doesn't land in them, I've talked to a few people where it really like, they're like, that's not real. That's not a thing. What are you talking about? And then I'm like, I back up from that ledge. They're not ready to hear it yet. They're not ready to hear it. Someday it might resonate, but who knows? Maybe I'm the crazy person and it's like, maybe it's not real. You know, I still have to reality check myself. But for a lot of people on this path back to themselves, where they know they've crossed that threshold and there's no turning back, it's like they know it's a real thing that they're working through. We're being confronted with our mirrors. Like, do you know that concept in spirituality? Oh man, I need a drink. Hold on. Don't let me forget what I was going to say. Speaking of mirrors, it's that concept of we are all shards of mirror, shards of glass of a mirror that's been broken. Like the oneness of the universe, like the oneness of spirit prior to incarnating into these human bodies. The oneness of spirit was like one big mirror. It's not really reflecting any other aspects of things, so it can't see anything. It just knows its oneness state. It knows no other. It's like a fish doesn't know it's in water. You know, it's just swimming in what it knows. It knows no other, right? If it did, it'd be like, well, so like it just knows water. So the mirror aspect, when spirit, the oneness of spirit says, I want to know myself. And I guess I'm going to do that by having to break apart and turn around and be like, whoa, I was a mirror all along. And so when spirit does that and now we're incarnated, our spirit comes down into this glass, this shard of mirror glass, and I turn around and look at you and I'm like, oh my God, I see myself in you. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. You know, I've never that feels so true, doesn't it? Feels so true. Like, it's beautiful and it's not something I thought of. Like I said, I've read it like probably a dozen times in a dozen different books and podcasts and like talking with other people and who it resonates with. And it's like, what we're trying to do is like really see each other. It's the namaste, I think. It's the God in me recognizes the God in you. The oneness of spirit in me recognizes the oneness in you. The ultimate essence of the universe in me recognizes the ultimate essence of the universe in you. And just like play with that idea and see if it hits as hard in you as it does in me. But you might need like a buildup of only 4 hours of sleep over the course of like 2 weeks each night over 2 weeks to get to this point. Although I think I got like 6 hours last night and man, it was amazing. I feel brand new. And so I don't know, that just like really feels good in my body to think about like, man, to really see someone else. You're like, we are of the same essence. And I just want you to be seen because I want to be seen. And I see myself in you. And it's not to just it's not the ego part of self where it's like, I only want to see the good parts of myself in you, you know? I want to see all the parts. And that means it gives me compassion for you and in turn back at me to like gives grace. And then I don't feel like triggered anymore after I get to that point of like I just want you to know like I see you for what and who you are and where you are in your journey. Because it's like either I've been where you are and there's another side to that you're just going to be so joyful. Or it's like, man, they are somewhere where I know I'm going, and I just like, I recognize that in them, and they give me so much hope. It's like that, like in the real world, the relative world, it's like, wow, you know, when you have a mentor and you just don't know what it is about them that you're drawn to, and you're like, I want what they got. Tell me what school you went to, and like every challenge you transcended in life, and how you did that, and like what wisdom you took from it. And like that's the whole idea of a mentorship, you know, like in the business world, like people are like, I have a mentor, and we meet every week and we talk about like everything. And it's like, yeah, get one of those, be one of those. Because we're all shards of the mirror, like reflecting each other, and we're all growing. So it's like when I've had mentors and when I've been a mentor, it's not a one-way street. It is a two-way street each time, no matter what side of the street you're on. You're all walking toward each other, meeting each other, passing each other, and looking back and saying, thank you. I just learned something from them. And I think they probably learned something from me too. They didn't expect, you know, the teacher might be like, wow, my client taught me something, dude. And all my clients in the business world taught me something. And now all my clients in the body work and healing arts world, whatever you want to call it, world, they each teach me something. Not just each client, but each treatment. Oh man, where did we get off topic? Let me see if this is related. Let's get back on that spiral and come back around. Like, I see only the past when I look at things. And that whole thing I just went on is about truly looking at something and recognizing that what I feel when I look at something are past thoughts about the past. Like when I see a person, I'm feeling stuff because I have past thoughts. Like, think about when you meet a brand new person who you've never met before and you feel stuff about them. Have you ever truly seen somebody with fresh eyes and like no thoughts, no immediate impression of them? My phone was like, you don't have enough space to keep recording. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I got to go delete some stuff. This phone's 4 years old, and I've never had a phone that long. And this is the first phone I've like have a crack on my screen, and it's not bothering me. Like, I've healed those past triggers of like perfectionism. And I'm like, now it's more about, let's get the most out of this thing I can. And I still really feel that way. Like, you should see my stylus. This is a Note, Samsung Note Ultra 20. Talk about all the product placement. Hey, Ember. Hey, Samsung. I'm ready for an endorsement. Just kidding. But anyway, I lost my, you know, this is funny. Like, first of all, I should probably circle back. Like, have you ever seen somebody with fresh eyes? Truly, that's where I was going with that. And like, can you see them with fresh eyes as if you have never experienced any human in the world before? No, because every first impressions are a real thing. Like, because you got to make the best first impression, because you know we're going to come see you with all our baggage, all our preconceptions, past, you know, of thoughts of like all of my life experiences now like vomited all over you the moment I meet you. And that's not fair, is it? But that's what we do as humans. And it's like a real thing we have to deal with. So it's like trying to just like break out of that and be like, I see you new. You know, you're a brand new human to me. And that's what, like, I'll be right back. It's like gonna stop again. I gotta delete more stuff. Okay, I hope this works. I found a setting that said keep, and I was wondering why this was happening. I recently moved stuff off my phone to a backup drive because I just keep my photos on there unorganized. Like, this is where photos go to die, and I never look at them again. And then I traded my phone, and I'm like, I guess those were a good couple of years, like taking photos for like no reason. Buy photos, where my husband organizes everything, and like he can go on his Mac and be like, doo-doo-doo, here's a whole part of our life we want to remember. And I'm like, oh, must be nice. So anyway, yeah, so I found it, and there was a setting I'd kept on, and I'm like, whenever I deleted something, I'm like, why isn't it really gone? Well, it says keep it for 30 days in the trash. And I was like, oh no, boop, goodbye. Goodbye, 30 days of deleted stuff. So now I have all the time in the world. Aren't you thrilled? So anyway, seeing somebody fresh, like we're coming with all that baggage from all of our past. Like in you, I see only the past. And it's like, can you see somebody totally fresh? And so what I was going to say, oh, there's too many things I was going to say. Breadcrumb wise, let's see, let's gobble up the breadcrumbs back in. When I started working at the bar, between my careers of consulting and being a licensed massage therapist, I'm like, I need to take some time off and have some fun. And what is calling to me? Oh, I want to be a bartender. I want to try that out. I love mixing things. There's a whole story I got to tell you about that. That goes way back to childhood. I just loved mixing things and seeing like what the experience of that mixed thing was. So anyway, I love making a mixed drink. And so I don't drink anymore, but like I really loved like bartending. I really loved it. And part of my like what I feel like I brought to it most times, not every time for sure. Okay, maybe 50-50. Well, honestly, I feel like if I'm being honest, it was more than 50%, but less than 100%. Somewhere in there, that spectrum. Like when anybody would walk in that door, we had a lot of regulars. It was like the Cheers of my town, you know. And you know people, you start to really know people. And part of like the thrill for me, like what I love about humans is seeing them fresh each time I see them. And I didn't realize that about myself, that's one of the reasons why I really loved that job. Is like every time somebody would walk in the door, it felt like most times I was seeing them brand new. Like, how are you showing up today? And let's try to be brand new with each other. Like, but still like, you know, ask about how we're doing and about what we know is going on with each other's life. But like, how are you feeling about those things today? Like, what's new in your life today? And I loved that because when you're bartending, and especially the day shift, when you see your regulars, like the real regulars, like literally every day that you're there, and you have all the time in the world as a daytime bartender to talk with them because there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot of distractions, not a lot of people at the bar you're making drinks for. So you can actually stand back and be a Sam Malone of Cheers and be like, tell me a story, Cliffy. And so you talk with each other for like long stretches of time. And so it was that, like, it was training and how to see someone new each day. And maybe just for the sake of keeping your job interesting and not getting bored. But I really loved it. And then there were some people who would walk in the door and you're like, oh God, I don't know if I have the stamina for this. Because we're all walking in with our stuff, you know, and you're like, oh man, I know they're going through some stuff right now. And it kind of just like leaks out of them onto other people. Like we all do. We're all leaking all over each other. Like I said, when I'm like vomiting all my ideas about you onto you. Well, we do that to each other, don't we? And I would do that to my patrons. I know I'm like vomiting all my like, I know what this conversation's gonna be like. Let me just muster up the energy. How's the weather? But you know, like I'm just being really, really honest right now. Like, but like most times I would just be like, what's going on today? Tell me a new story. Let's like keep looking at each other with fresh eyes. I just love that. But this is all about that past. Like we just see the past in each other, don't we? The past me, the past what I know, the past our conversations we've had, what like the gossip in this town is like no other small Midwestern town. You are not anonymous here. Everybody knows everything. And if they don't, they think they know everything. And the gossip, I would just have to walk away from it while bartending. I'm like, I feel gross right now. You guys can keep gossipy and I just want to hurl in the corner, because like, what if that person was listening? What would they think? And what would you think? You'd feel so bad if they overheard what you were saying. And that's just a reminder to me, like, I've been gossipy before. I still can be, you know, like when you live here, it's like it passes as a form of real conversation, you know, gossip. And it's hard to stay out of it. It really is. So I struggle with it, because it's like, it's all in the name of connecting with people. And it's an easy way to connect with people. Like, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? And even in good ways, like, oh, she's pregnant again. Oh, where did I get to? Yeah, there's cats out there. So there was something I was going to say, though, that was related to, there was the bartending thing, seeing people fresh. There was something before that where I was going, and it's probably gone now, and that's okay. It's just like, I think this reflection is probably done. It took us on some wild rides. I reflected on the past, because that's all I see when I look around, and even the thoughts I have are all about the past. And when I try to think about the future, it's obviously just pure potential. I don't know the future. I only know by extrapolating, is that the word I want to use, from past events and my thoughts about those past events that say, based on this trend, this is likely where I'm going. Or based on this past I know about that person, this is likely what they're going to be doing tomorrow. Like, I even think that about my husband sometimes. Like, based on, he has today off, it's Wednesday, and he's got a full day ahead. We're finally getting the drywall put up on our ceiling, because it fell in like 6 months ago from heavy rains. The drywall just went ka-thunk right to the floor, and we've been living without a ceiling. We finally got the exterior fixed that caused the rain leakage, and now the interior. The guy, our dear friend, and he does painting, drywall, he does everything, and he's a musician, amazing musician, who gigs with my husband. My husband plays trumpet, and they gig together, but he also does drywall apparently, and we're like, oh, let's have him do it, let's give them insurance money to him. And so, which is a whole funny thing I won't go into, because it's all related. So anyway, he's coming to put that in today, and I know, based on how my husband's been in the past, he loves his Wednesdays. He loves making the most of being off work during the middle of the week, because they do long Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursday, Fridays, so that they can have that Wednesday break. And so he loves it so much, he'll probably get up extra early. Even if he's gotten very little sleep, he just loves to get up early and make the most of the day. And he stays up so late on Tuesday nights. And I can tell when I woke up, he did a lot of prep work. When I woke up, I'm like, oh, he moved everything out of the way for our friend to like have access to everything without having to move our junk around. You know, we've been in chaos mode. Like, where's this appliance I need, because I put it away 6 months ago when the ceiling fell in. And so I love it though. It's been a good exercise for us, and like not having to have everything in its perfect place, which, you know, we're all dealing with our control issues. It's been a good lesson. So anyway, he's coming over, and I know that my husband just is probably going to wake up early, despite having gone to bed very late last night, well after I was asleep. And that's what I think he's going to do, based on what I know of his past. You know, and I'm extrapolating his future. And that's what we do to each other all the time. It's what we do to ourselves. What if we just got rid of all of that and just like, would we just walk around like this? Would it be so boring? Maybe it'd be too boring for us as humans. We didn't evolve that way. I think we're evolving that way though. And it's not going to be boring. It's going to be like the ecstasy of newness every time we're confronted with something old. You know, I think it's just going to be like, oh, what is this? I love it. Yeah, I think that's where we're all headed. That's what we all want, right? Like, everything is new, but that feeling of the bittersweet, the nostalgia, the heartache, the pain, the suffering, and then the transcendence of all that into like the experience of life, because it is so fleeting, is so beautiful. I'm gonna cry again. It's those mirror shards. It's like, despite the pain, it's all beautiful when we see it like for the fleeting, ineffable quality it is. And I'm laughing because if you saw that video I did the other day, I could not think of that word, so I gotta keep saying it so I remember it. It's like, life is just so friggin' beautiful. And I might still be sleep deprived, but I feel like if you can feel this feeling someday, if you felt it in the past, it's okay to look back at that with your past eyes and like feel into it, because man, it is beautiful. I think I better just end there. I've got some coffee to drink. I have a big day ahead, and I need to get this working through my veins. oh, I gotta go. My body's doing things I can't control. I hope you have a great Wednesday. Oh man, it's gonna be beautiful. Bye.